One of the most common images of AI going rogue is in 2001: A Space Odyssey, where we have Hal, and Hal actually has become conscious. But I get the feeling, reading the book, that really the AI may well, if it does in any way destroy us or start to, destabilize civilization, it won't even be conscious. It will still be, it won't have made a decision to destroy us. It will be something which has just run wild enough. Does that sound fair? Because I feel that AI and consciousness is still, possibly a long, it's the point that if AI beats us at chess, it starts to gloat. And then we realize, oh, it's beginning to get conscious now. It's but it feels to me that long before that, we may well have allowed AI to run wild.
We just don't know. I mean, the issue of consciousness is extremely complicated because we don't understand consciousness in humans. We don't understand consciousness in other animals. Again, there is a huge confusion about the very meaning of the term. People confuse it with intelligence. So maybe just to clarify, intelligence is the ability to pursue goals and to solve problems on the way to attaining your goal. Your goal could be to win a chess. Your goal could be to drive a car to a particular point. Your goal could be to identify a disease. This is intelligence, and this is what we see now with the development of AI. It's the development of intelligence. Consciousness is something else. Consciousness is the ability to feel things like pain and pleasure and love and hate. Now, we tend to confuse intelligence and consciousness because in humans and also in other mammals, they go together. We solve problems, we set ourselves targets, goals, and we solve problems on the way there based on our feelings. It's our feelings that define the goals for us. We rely on our feelings to solve problems. So it's very hard for us to even differentiate the two. As far as we know, AI and computers in general until today, they don't have consciousness at all. They have intelligence. In many fields, in some fields, they are already more intelligent than us, but they don't rely on feelings to solve problems, to win a chess, for instance. But as AI becomes more and more sophisticated, it becomes harder to know for sure. How can we be sure that the AI is not conscious? We can't, with other people and with other animals also, we have no test for consciousness. It's really just a social convention. This is something that goes back thousands of years. Philosophers in ancient India and China and Greece, they already knew that there is no objective test for consciousness. So it's just social convention. We accept that other people are conscious. When it comes to animals, you can see it most clearly. When there is emotional attachment, we usually also grant consciousness to animals, like to pets, to dogs and cats and so forth. But we tend not to do it to animals we eat, because we don't have the same kind of emotional attachment. Now, what happens once you have emotional attachments and relationships with AIs? There will be, I think, a big pressure to start recognizing them as conscious entities, even if they are not, and really, we can't tell. And there are a lot of commercial interests, commercial reasons to produce AIs that mimic consciousness, that mimic feelings. It could be for good purposes, whether it's in healthcare or education. An AI that can show us empathy, and we feel that it's empathic, would be much more successful in giving us care or in educating us. There could also be dangerous reasons to do it, to manipulate people. We talked earlier about all these algorithms manipulating social media, and they really manipulated attention. Mm-hmm. The big battle in the 2010s and early 2020s was for control of human attention. But if you want to persuade people to buy something, to vote for a politician, to adopt a certain view, the ultimate weapon is not attention. It's intimacy. An intimate relationship can convince you far more effectively to change your mind about something than just grabbing your attention. You know, throughout history, emperors and dictators and governments, they developed tools to control human attention, to mass produce attention. Like you live in Nazi Germany, and everybody, if Hitler gives a speech on the radio, everybody must open the radio and listen to the speech. They control mass attention. But this is not intimacy. The radio has no intimate relationship with you. Now, for the first time in history, we are about to have the technology to mass produce intimacy. Millions, even billions of AIs that could fake intimacy, and in many ways can even be better at it than human beings. I mean, one of the things that humans are very frustrated with in their relationships in life is that other people often fail to understand how we feel or ignore how we feel. And we tend to go through life kind of yearning that somebody would understand us. Like we want our parents to understand us, our friends, our spouses, our teachers, our bosses, and very often they don't. And the reason they don't is because they are too preoccupied with their own feelings. Like your husband comes back from work, grumpy because of something that happened at work, and doesn't pay attention to how you feel. And this is frustrating. This will never happen with AI. It will never be grumpy from work. It is a machine that can focus its entire attention, 100% of its attention, only on you, only on deciphering how you feel. Again, based on, like it could follow you for years and know everything that you forgot about yourself, it still remembers. Will learn to understand every tiny muscle movement in your facial expression. What are the emotional implications of this frown or of this smile? It could be far better than humans at deciphering our emotions and therefore at creating this intimacy. And then the big question is there really a consciousness behind it, or is it all fake? And this is going to be one of the big questions, I think, of the 21st century, socially, also politically and legally. Do we recognize AIs as persons? And you could have, you know, wars or huge disagreements between countries when some countries recognize AIs as persons with rights and other countries don't. And you know, the current debates and conflicts about human rights will be as nothing compared to such a world. There are countries, like the US is the lead example, where the path to recognizing AIs as persons is already wide open. I'm not sure how the situation is in the UK, but according to US law, corporations are persons. Now, until today, this was just legal fiction, that US law recognizes Google and General Electric and Nike and whatever as legal persons with rights. For instance, freedom of speech. This was Supreme Court decision from, I think, 2010 in Citizens United, all about whether corporations can donate money in lobbying to politicians. And the argument was they are legal persons, they have freedom of speech, donating money to politicians is freedom of speech. So, and the Supreme Court accepted it. So until today, this was just a metaphor, because all the decisions of Google or General Electric or any other company was made by human beings. The company could not actually make a decision. You needed a company executive, accountant, lawyer to make a decision. But AI can make decisions by itself. Now, what happens if you now incorporate an AI? You do this magic ceremony in a lawyer's office, and this is now a corporation. And according to US law, this is now a person. And this person can make decisions by itself. It can open a bank account, for instance. It can go online and hire its services in, I don't know, writing texts to people, earn money, and then invest its money in the stock exchange. And because if it's a really good AI, it will know how to invest money better than most humans. So at least theoretically, it could become the richest person in the US. So think about it. The richest person in the US is not a human being, and it has freedom of speech, which, for instance, says it can donate billions of dollars to politicians to lobby for more rights to AIs. And again, this is the technological path is still bumpy, but the legal path is wide open.
See, that's probably a good story, that one, because once you start scaring the billionaires, then they start to go off. What do you mean I'm not going to be the richest person? My love robot is, and then everything kind of changes there.